So now we'll discuss one technique and energy in power and DVFS, DFS. So originally the first processors used very small amount of power, and this 3.3 gigahertz Intel core consumes 130 watt. You have a 1.5 centimeter across 1.5 centimeter chip, so you can't dissipate a lot of power from that chip. Okay. Now here, these are some of the accelerators. Some of them I have already discussed. Some of them I will discuss in near future. Okay. So, which is the highest frequency here? Highest and second highest. This is the Intel's 486 was maybe 50 years ago processor. So that's what is the lowest, definitely. But which is the highest and second highest here? Shrikant. Shrikant? Okay, anyone else?
i7 and E5.
Intel i7, sir, and E5.
Yeah, so both of them are CPU. So you can see that CPUs have very high frequency, right? Others have much lower frequency. So TPU version 1 and 2, they have 700. Version 3, 4, they have around 940,000. IPU, I will discuss after this. Atom, Intel's Atom is also a CPU, but this is like a simpler CPU, just like we have ARM-based CPUs. So Atom is supposed to be competitor to that. Okay, it is slightly stronger than ARM, but not as popular as ARM, but still. So again, this is also maybe I'll say third. So Intel likes to use like CPUs are generally have high frequency. This is KNFV. This was also from Intel's Xeon Phi series, but they cancelled it now because it did not become popular. So it was supposed to be competitor of GPU. So that's why its frequency is in the same range as the GPU. These are the GPUs here around 1.5 gigahertz. Tesla was somewhat less. And this is the Jetson we just now discussed, and Brainwave 500. So here you can see FPGA, as you can expect, FPGA has very low frequency between like 100 to 500 megahertz. GPU is around 1.5 gigahertz, right? Xeon Phi is around 1.5 gigahertz. IPU is also around that 1.5 gigahertz. TPU is less than 1 gigahertz, and CPU is above 2.5 gigahertz. This is the rough range we have given. Okay. So now, why can't CPU reduce the frequency? Why can't GPU improve the frequency? Now, anybody knows? Why is it that we have like ranges? Why can't we design a CPU with just, for example, 500 megahertz frequency? Why can't we design a GPU with 3.5 gigahertz frequency? This is the big question, right? Because frequency is a primary thing. As an architect, you will have to decide what frequency should I choose.
Sir, as the frequency will increase, so
yeah.
With respect, so power dissipation will be the important factor. Actually, the figure of merit has to be optimized.
Yeah. So
power dissipation is also important. Means we have to keep in mind.
Okay. But what about performance, right? If you improve the frequency, your performance can also improve.
But power dissipation is also increasing, sir. That is also important parameter.
So that's why I understand. So see, performance is increasing, power is increasing. Fine.
So we have to optimize. Yes.
So if CPUs can use 3.7 gigahertz, why can't GPU also dissipate that much power? It's a simple question.
So GPU has more cores, so the power dissipation is more.
Okay. And but GPU also gives more performance, right? If I'm getting so much performance, I will also be ready to pay for that much performance. If I'm getting, suppose GPU is giving me double the performance of a CPU, so instead of purchasing 2 CPUs, I can purchase just 1 GPU, and whatever cost I'm spending on 2 CPUs I can spend on one GPU. Any other quick Anubhav, you know that? PC students.
So main reason is the power dissipation only.
Yeah, but it's that everybody can say, but okay, I think you people don't. Okay, let us go through it. So this even before I try to explain, it is good that this question should be in your mind, right? Why can't we? Why did this TPU? See, TPU is after all basic. They could have chosen whatever frequency they wanted, but why did they choose low frequency? This question should be in your mind when you see the frequency value. Okay, so now let us go through the presentation. So energy is the ultimate metric which tells the cost of performing a fixed task. Power is energy divided by time. It poses constraints. You can only work as fast enough to max out the power delivery or cooling solution. See, if your power consumption is too high, you will have to use liquid cooling. Okay, and now you can expect how complicated will liquid cooling become. Can you have a mobile phone with liquid cooling? No, right? It's completely a joke. So a mobile phone should have very less power, so it can go into your pocket, and plus it has to last on a battery. Then a server should also not have so much power, otherwise your operation cost will become too high, and so on. Plus, even if you could cool it, but your temperature of the chip will become just too high that it will not be able to perform properly or reliably. So many errors will come up because of the increased heat. So now let us say if a processor A consumes 1.2 times the power of processor B, but finishes the task in 30% less time, its relative energy is this. So if your power delivery can support 1.2 times the power supply or power consumption, and if you can cool it, if you can supply that much power and if you can cool that, then processor A is better. Because your overall relative energy is less. You ran fast, you completed the task early, then you slept. Whereas in the case of B, you are running somewhat slowly, so you take a lot of time. So overall, you spend more calorie of energy, something like that. So here we have static power. Static power is also called leakage power. Okay, so power is equal to static power plus dynamic power. Static power consumption is current into voltage. So this thing you have to remember. Static power is current into voltage. It scales with number of transistors. So why does static power come? Because even when the device is inactive, there is some leakage currents which always flow. That's why static power comes. Now dynamic power is proportional to capacitive load, that means the capacitance into voltage square into frequency. So even if you're not from EC background, don't think it is EC component. It is an architectural component that you have to memorize, better understand. So now if you see from dynamic power, you see the energy. So dynamic energy is half into capacitance into voltage square. So if you change the clock rate, either you increase or reduce it, it reduces the power, it doesn't change the dynamic energy. Right? Reducing clock rate reduces the power, but not the energy. So here we have ignored the factor of half because all we are worried is in terms of proportionality. Dynamic power is proportional to capacitance into voltage square into frequency. Now, power consumption is within the range of 100 to 150 watt in high performance processors. In fact, some of the GPUs were designed, they had a power consumption of 300 watts. Okay, and TPU, I think version 3 was liquid cooled. Okay, TPU version 3 was liquid cooled, plus the Cerebras wafer scale engine is also liquid cooled. So now energy is power into time, so dynamic power plus leakage power into time. So this also you have to remember. Please memorize it. Now for a processor which runs at 100% utilization, 100 watts, 20% of the power comes from leakage. What is the total power dissipation when the processor is running at 50% utilization? Tell me. Ashish?
Yes, sir.
Please tell me what is the power if only 50% utilization is there or 50% activity is going on. Naveen, Narendra, Srinivas. Yeah, anyone?
Sir, is it
Approximately 60 watts, sir.
How come 60?
Sir,
40 watts, sir.
20%
30.
40 watt?
leakage will stay, sir. Whether we are using 100% or we are doing 20% of utilization, sir, or 50%.
Okay, so what you're saying, the static will remain as such.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how much is the static power?
Sir,
How much is the static power in the original case, 100% relation case?
80, 20
20%,
watts.
20. Okay. So how much is the dynamic?
80 watts.
80.
So when you reduce the utilization from 100% to 50%, what is the new value of dynamic power?
Should be 40, sir, then 20 plus 40. That's why I said between 60 watt it should be there.
You're right, it will be 60 watt. So total power was will become dynamic power into leakage power. Leakage power doesn't change. Leakage power is same as static power, but dynamic power will reduce to half. So now your new, instead of 100 watts, your new power is 60 watts. If processor A consumes 1.4 times the power of processor B, but finishes the task in 20% less time, which processor will do it? If you are constrained by power delivery. Suppose you can't support high amount of power delivery, then which processor will you choose?
So B only.
Why?
Sir, it will depend on the constraint also, sir, whether we are using it for some hard time system.
No. Don't apply one more condition or one more different else.
Then I think, sir, B should be fine, sir. Why necessarily we should?
Yeah. If you're trying to minimize energy per operation, then which one will you choose? That means operation means overall work. If you want to total, just minimize the energy.
So then A can be thought of, sir, because overall we'll be able to finish off in less time, sir. Frequency will be less. So, I mean, the total operation would be less. So then
Any
A
other?
can be.
Vikas Sahu?
B.
B. Narendra, why B?
Sir, 1.4 into 0.8, which is the energy is 1.12, which is higher than B. And we want to decrease.
Very nice. Okay. What about the C part? If you just worry about less response time, that's all. Forget about energy, forget about power.
Then A.
Perfect.
A.
If you're constrained by power delivery, then you will choose processor B. If you are trying to minimize energy, then it is processor A because processor B, because processor A is taking overall more energy. That means although it is taking more power, but correspondingly it doesn't finish the work as fast. If you're trying to minimize response time, then obviously you take processor A because it is faster. Now, a processor's frequency is supposed to increase by 30% or decrease by 40%. In either of the cases, how much will the execution time change? So suppose originally the frequency is 90, whatever hertz or megahertz. Now we increase the frequency by 30%. So it becomes how much?
One 7.
Now, what is the new? Then originally the execution time was X. Okay, new execution time will become Y. So change in execution time is
So in the first case, shouldn't time reduce when we have increased the frequency?
get the time will reduce. Yeah, I'm not saying that Y is higher than X. Y will be less than X, right? Into 100.
So in the first case, it will be 63. In the second case, it will be 116. 126.
Here you're saying 63
In the first case.
X. Oh, so you're telling the answer.
Yes, sir.
So here the answer you're telling is 63% increase.
Sir,
No,
27.
sir, yeah, sir. I was giving the number. I wasn't asking in percentage.
So what number you have told? Is it X or Y or what? What is this? You have told 63.
Sir, because of 30% increase, increase in frequency as time is inversely proportional. So that in the proportion, in the same proportionality, time will reduce. So it was taking 90, so minus 30% or 90, so 27 will be reduced. So it will take 63 now for the same amount of work.
No, but 90 is not the execution time. 90 is the frequency, some hertz.
Oh,
Hertz.
okay. Sorry, sir.
This
I
is
thought it was time.
117 hertz. So this you can't directly change it to execution time. You have to. That's why I wrote X. I did not write 90.
Okay.
Some value of execution time is in terms of seconds. Here also Y in terms of seconds. So now another student spoke. How much? Somebody spoke.
27, sir.
27. Ashish.
27
Here you're saying 20. This is the answer. Is it
percentage
the answer
change.
27?
It's a percentage change.
Okay,
Sir, in the
percentage is
first-
execution time is
in the-
27%. And what about second case? Yes, Sagar, you're saying something?
Sir, I'm getting 23% decrease in execution time in the first case, in the case one.
Second case,
Yes, the same. Same mine, sir, also. 23% decrease.
What about second case? Krishna Chaitanya, Subham Vikas, Suman, Himkant.
In the second case, sir, it will be 66.6% increase in execution time.
Okay. So, new time will be 76.9% of the original time. So, execution time is reduced by 23%. In the second case, new time has increased by 66%. So one thing you have to see is that an increase in frequency by 30% doesn't mean that time will also reduce by 30%. Because frequency is inversely proportional to time. So this is the one big mistake which you can do. That's why I have a separate slide on that. Because I will definitely ask one question based on this. So please understand how we have done it. New time here, because it is frequency is decreased by 40%. So new time will be 1 by 60%. And that's why execution time is increased by 66%. Now finally, let's see the DVFS and DVFS techniques. So in DFS, we just change the frequency. We do not change the voltage. So that's why it reduces dynamic power, but it increases the energy, as we will show. In DVFS, the control knob is we change the frequency and the voltage both. See, what happens is that when you reduce the voltage, then circuits become slow. So the frequency of operation is also reduced. Okay. So here when we do DVFS, it reduces both dynamic and static power and energy. So this will be more clear when we see the example on the next slide. Processor A at 3 GHz consumes 80 watts of dynamic power and 20 watts of static power. It completes the program in 20 seconds. So you can find the energy of this processor how? What is the energy of this processor? Energy is total power multiplied by time, execution time. Total power is 100 multiplied by
Sir, 2 millisecond.
what? Energy cannot be
Sir,
millisecond.
2 millijoule.
Why did you get milli? How did milli come
Sir,
here?
2K, sir, 2K.
Yeah,
2 kilos.
2 kilojoule. So probably you replace K with M.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, so our baseline is 2000 joules. So, okay, now we scale the frequency down by 20%. So now you tell me first of all what is the new execution time. Originally the execution time was 20 seconds. Now I have not given you how much is the time change. I have just given you what is the frequency change. So with this change in frequency, what is the new execution time first? Tell me. Please be quick.
25 seconds.
Very good. Yeah. So now will static power change on changing the frequency? Because static power depends on what?
V into I does not change.
Static power depends
Static
only on
power
current
will be
and voltage.
constant.
So leakage
Yeah, so-
current sir, will not change.
Yeah. So static power will not change. Okay. Dynamic power, will it change? Dynamic power depends on
Yes,
capacitance, voltage,
Yes,
voltage
sir,
and
it
frequency.
is directly proportional to frequency.
So will it change or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now you can find out the new dynamic power. So right now it is 80. What is the new dynamic power? Tell me. It is linearly proportional to frequency. If this is the dynamic power in the baseline, what is the new?
64 watts.
Very good. Very good. So 64 watt is the dynamic power. 20 watt remains the static power. So you add them and multiply that with what? What is the new execution time?
25.
Yeah. So new execution, so 24 watt, new static power is 20 watts. Execution time is 25 seconds. Here energy is this. So new energy is more than the baseline case. Here it was 2000, here it is 2100 joules. So you did not save energy. But now if you scale both voltage and frequency by the same amount, 20%. So now new dynamic power is 41 watt because dynamic power is dependent on both voltage square and frequency. So voltage is also reduced, frequency is also reduced. New dynamic power is this. Now new static power is also because static power also depends on voltage. So voltage is reduced. And new execution time remains same. Now your energy is much less. So you save a lot of energy. So that's why when you reduce, actually what happens when you reduce the voltage, you also have to reduce the frequency because after reducing the voltage, your circuits become slow. You can't operate at high frequency. Okay. So in this way, you can see overall you save the energy.